obviously you guys have a pretty good top three at the front of your rotation, but the number of young arms you have here, how much competition do you envision there being for the starting rotation this camp?
Yeah, I think there is competition with some of those guys, and I think some of those guys we also probably need to see a little bit more of. But I think to the first part of that question, Alex, is like I think we're excited about our young arms. The fact that you can never have enough starting pitching. We know that. Everybody in the game knows that. And the fact that we've done a really good job of developing guys that are close to being in the big leagues or big league pitchers is something that's really encouraging for the entire organization.
When a lot of people talk about that young group, the velocity is the headliner. A guy like Thomas kind of is an outlier there. Is there a benefit in that he's kind of a yin to that group's yang?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think just like you're building a bullpen, you like to see different angles, different repertoires. The fact that there's not a ton of velocity compared to the other group, and the other group's got a lot of velocity, but I think the ability to mix and match and be able to execute pitches and throw strikes and do those things, that's really functional, and Thomas has done a really good job of that.
Have you seen him kind of help other pitchers? Like I was talking to Bubba, and Thomas helped him with his curveball, and then Thomas helped Braxton with his changeup. How have you seen him affect, I guess, just that group as a whole?
Yeah, I think our pitching group as a whole, you watch them come out, you watch them have conversations about what they're throwing, how they're throwing it, how they're gripping it. When you're building a pitching infrastructure, you want players to be able to have those conversations. There's no better conversation or there's no better feedback than peer-to-peer.
A guy like Jared Jones told me he's adding a fifth pitch to his mix that he is really hopeful about this year. What does it do for a guy that's typically full go to have that fifth pitch possibly in his pocket?
Yeah, I think when you're adding a pitch, you have to see, it's one of the things what spring training is about, be able to see how it works, what the execution of, get feedback from the hitters, and just try to add as many weapons as possible that are functional and useful weapons.
Is it an important data point at all that last year Termarr played a ton of baseball, right? Whether it was playing in the minors, doing the stuff overseas in Japan, like that he can come back into camp here and he physically looks like he's ready to go at such a young age again?
Yeah, he's in a good spot, and I do think, I mean, fall league, he played in the Premier, which I think was an unbelievable experience, and I think in that regard he got to play around prospects within the game. He got to play with some veteran guys, get some feedback, and it's really important. And at that age, the more reps he can get, the better it is.
What can another big league camp do for him? Obviously he's a guy who's still at 20. You got all sorts of potential down the road type of stuff with him. But last year he was in big league camp. Now to come back again, is it at all different for a young kid like that?
I think it's different for him this year because he's he's healthy, which is number one. So he'll get more reps. But then there's also more veteran guys that he can be around, that he can get feedback from.
How much does it help that he's played a lot of second base, but he's also kind of a natural shortstop? Is that a guy who can play on both sides of the bag, and does it help that he can play shortstop given that there's not as much depth there?
Yeah, well, I think so. I think any time we can get guys on both sides of the bags, it's imperative, especially for their footwork. I mean, even with our guys that are strictly second basemen, we like them to go on that side of the field to be able to move their feet and see how the ball reacts and what they have to do in the timing aspect. But I expect that we'll see him on both sides of the ball in the spring.